I was born in Keatsville, Missouri, which is a little town you've never ever heard of. It's about like a short stop, on an interstate. My father, my real father, was a farmer. My mother was a teacher. Our farm is still in the family. It's about 200 years old now. And that's in Keatsville, Missouri. And they have a little plaque out there that tells you how old it is and all like that. I can remember harvest time, which was a beautiful time. Where you are, we probably had, I don't know how many hundreds of acres. And they would, in harvest time, the people come in and they help you harvest your crops and everything. And it's usually in the latter part of August, September. And as a child, though, probably 6 years old, I remember my oldest brother, Harold, we would be sitting out in the yard, having a good time on a blanket. And I remember there was a big tree in the yard, and it had, I don't know what you call them, they had these long things like cigars. And we would pull those off as children, act like we were smoking them, because we dared not light them. In those days, your parents just had to look at you, and you did it right. But that was one of the memories I have. I remember, believe it or not, when I was like 2 or 3, and my oldest brother holding my hand, and he's saying, "Watch the birdie, Lee." He threw this brick up into the sky, and it came down and plopped me right on the head. I don't know how I have any sense at all, because my mother told me that it absolutely knocked me out.
What kind of little girl were you? Were you mischievous? Were you
No, I was a good little girl. I was always the one trying to teach. You know how you play school? Well, we used to play a lot of school. Although I was a little tomboy, I only had brothers. We used to have a team, a baseball team. We would play baseball. So we had a really good time. And my brothers, which I contribute to my mother, always taught them to treat me with, the utmost respect. I remember one time we had to take naps in those days. I remember taking my nap, and I always had long nails. And when I woke up, I didn't have them. And I said, "What happened to my nails?" So I ran to my mother, and it so happened that my brother under me had just cut them off. Well, you know what she did to him. But anyway, she said, "You don't ever do this to your sister." I don't, little boys are mischievous. They are really something. And so I grew up with these brothers, and I was always defending them and protecting them and, making sure that they did the right thing. When I was 7 years old, my real father died on the operating table. My mother had she had 4 children and 1 on the way, which is my baby brother. So my mother, after Teddy was born, then my mother started thinking about, okay, I need to think of other places to live. And so she moved to Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, my older brother was like the parent, When we became teenagers and would go to parties and all, my parents would tell him that, "You watch your sister." And then, if some little boy would look at me, "Lee, I think you need to move on. I don't think you should spend any more time with him. Or do you want me to tell Mom and Dad?" I said, "Oh, God."